Whatever, it was a boring ass match. Even though I dropped some knowledge bombs. Oh, we can jump right into the second stream though. It looks like
Yep.
Spacemonkeys versus Affliction, which is already over. Damn, it was almost the same exact setup. Holy shit!
I just maximized it. And I did a double take. I literally did a double take to see if I pulled it from the right match.
That is actually hilarious. Yeah. So you can see these Fleet Typhoon sort of setups.
A lot of bombers, like you're saying, the low point cost and the huge amounts of DPS versus a battleship meta is going to be I think a commonplace thing in the tournament this year.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? So they're totally is just 6 points, or 3 points rather, and even a Tech 1 Cruiser's 6 points. Assault Frigate's 4 points. So like they're incredibly points cheap for how much deeps you can get out of them. And yeah, this Spacemonkeys Affliction team, it's actually really similar to the one we just saw, except Affliction took a Basilisk and a few more bombers instead of a Tengu.
Mm-hmm. Which Basilisk will be a little bit less resilient than the Tinker Tengu.
Yeah, exactly. But maybe they're just going for like a surprise factor, because you saw the blue team, which is the Affliction team, they actually banned Tengu themselves, which they could have taken. So maybe they're like, hey, I'm going to ban Tengu. These guys won't see it coming. And I'm going to bring like a weaker Basilisk Tinker or something. Or maybe it wasn't a Tinker at all and they just had a Basilisk because they like Basilisks. I don't know. But Space Monkeys was not phased. They almost lost to Typhoon, it seems. But Typhoon's just living fine. Ladies love a little bit of flares coming out of your ship. So
make it a little exciting.
Yeah, exactly.
No, this is I mean, lately in the tournament, it seems a lot more Tinkers are coming out, and I think people are starting to catch on and be able to counter them more effectively. So I wonder if people in the coming days and coming weekends, you'll see less Tinkers as they start falling over.
It could be. It could be. It's just I think a lot of the reason is their natural predator, right? Which was the drone shotgun team got essentially nerfed by the rules, so you can't take those types of teams anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the Tinkers look really appealing at that point.
Yeah, well, apparently not, according to Space Monkeys and Camel Empire.
Yeah,
Camel
exactly.
Empire does take that pretty handily, like the first match from.
And the first match we watched was a winner's bracket match. The second match we watched between Space Monkeys and Affliction was actually a loser's bracket match. So Affliction's eliminated from the tournament.
Let's see if I can actually fix my screen region here.
And Space Monkeys will continue on to fight. I think they fight the loser of the Camel Agony team. So it should be Space Monkeys versus Agony next week, if I'm right.
So with the two brackets, is it going to be hosted like most tournaments where they just fight their way through the entire loser bracket now, and then they won't fight anyone in the winner's bracket until the end?
No, if it's a double elimination format. So when you drop out of the winner's bracket, you go down to the loser's bracket, and then loser's brackets guys just gotta plow through them. Which I'm pretty sure is what you said. I just misunderstood.
Yeah, I think it works. It works. We're good.
Yeah.
We're good. Yeah. But yeah, so we're going to be hosting the tournament as long as possible. I think Elise has to go early in the afternoon. So stay tuned for all the tournament matches. The next one coming up is CAStabouts versus Gorgon Empire on Stream 1, which is the winner's stream. And Stream 2 is the loser stream. The next match for that, I can tell you in just a second, is going to be...
Chaos Collective versus the Scary Wormhole people.
There we go.
Oh yeah, Scary Wormhole people.
And I also made an awesome free loading stream in case for whenever the matches are taking too long to start, we can just go to our little loading screen here.
Nice, nice. Yeah, there was a few days where, or a few minutes. Classic. That's really good. I was gonna say the stream hasn't been going perfectly, but there have been a few delays, a few rule violations as well.
Yeah, I posted on Twitter on one of them. I don't agree with CCP's ruling at all. I don't know if you saw the one where the team warped in 100. Yeah.
That one was probably the most egregious of the screw ups, right? So the other ones, There was just a matter of not fitting your flagship properly. There are some kind of hard to understand rules of the flagship if you don't really pay attention to the thing. It says you can fit any module you want except blah 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 blah. So people just read the except part. So they took like really over-tanked flagships and eventually lost their flagship and the match. And CCB didn't punish them because they're like, oh well, you lost anyways, even though you didn't comply by the rules and we didn't catch it, so NBD. But in this match, the max range you can warp in at to the beacon is anywhere between 0 and 50. So 50 is the most. And this team just warped in at 100.
No fucks given.
And nobody noticed. Like, the people they were fighting didn't notice. The refs didn't notice. The cameramen didn't notice. Like, no one noticed. So they just fought. The guy actually was in the team that got lost because of that. Made a post on Reddit saying like, he doesn't care. He probably would have lost anyways, and he was a real bro about it.
Yeah, I think they should still have to redo the match, even if both teams are okay with it. They should still have to redo the match, in my opinion.
Yeah, probably. Or just say, hey, you warped in at 100. You get to go to the losers bracket. It's not like you're getting eliminated from the tournament. You're just going to the losers bracket.
Yeah, I mean, there has to be some sort of repercussion for breaking the rules. It's not, since the other team's okay with it, it's okay. Alright, so let's fix this. Boom! Alright, that's fixed, and now we just got to make the stream actually full screen. I changed my resolution to 1080 instead of 1200, and now everything's all. Okay, okay, guys, so the next match is at 1420, which I believe is, 11 minutes-ish? No, actually 4 minutes.
Yeah, it should be coming up quick. It looks like I'm told the team got moved, but I don't know if they did or not. So right now they're just blasting some ads. Yeah, so let's see, what does it look like? So they're doing 2 simultaneous streams, so we're going to try and link between them as much as we can, but we'll focus on the winners bracket because those are probably the more high quality matches, even though in the losers bracket the teams are actually fighting for their lives. So there will be certain losers bracket matches where we'll probably focus on more. Let's see.
Yeah, because this part of the tournament is a double elimination tournament, so 2 losses and you're out. So anyone in the loser bracket stream is on there for last leg, rather.
Yeah, exactly. So they go home. They don't get to make it to the televised weekend, which is next weekend, where there's going to be like a studio and some nerds just chilling.
Elise Randolph getting flown to Iceland to use all of his vacation time for the year.
Yeah. Good times.
Alright, so while we have a second, guys, I'm going to send messages, get people in streams.
Oh, it looks like a stream's actually starting. It's a losers bracket stream. Oh, no. Oh, they just psyched me out by playing the little splash thing. Yeah.
They just played an ad, and then they swapped it back, I think.
Like dicks. Got me
he
excited.
won, he least 0.
Whatever, I'll have my revenge. Dun, 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 dun.
Alright, so while this waiting, guys, like I said, we do have a couple minutes before the match starts. It's advertised to start at 14:20. If they're actually able to hit that on time, I'll be impressed. Hopefully we'll be a little bit early.
Yeah, I'd be amazed if they can keep this schedule going on. Not because they're inept or anything, just because it's really hard.
Yeah. Well, and like when I was commentating Alliance Tournament 10, a lot of these teams aren't ready, and they don't do the basic instructions that they have to do to actually have everything work properly with the moving.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. And apparently, there was like something that was broken with like moving people to the arena. Yesterday, some sort of mechanic just stopped working, so one dude couldn't move at all.
Well,
he tried to troll and say it was fatigue related, hoping that CCTV would just say, "Oh, we'll just delete fatigue, and then you can play." That was his play, but it did not work. They saw through it.
It's his clever skies.
Yeah.
Guys, rather. A lot of the issue there is the tools they're using, they don't know how they work exactly because they didn't write them.
Well, yeah.
And the person who wrote them, I believe, was Brian Bosse.
Yeah.
Afro
Seems to be Veritas, the guy with the cool afro. They've got some new tools, though, I'm sure. For testing, of course, this year, they have a new tournament module that just blocks scanning. So you just plop it in whatever system you want to test in. They can't lock the system, but they can just make it so you can't use a scanner. So you can't really ever see anyone that's testing. You can't probe them down. You can't find them. So might as well be locked. All right, Stream 2 is doing that thing again where it's pretending to start.
Oh, man, just started streaming. We just got our first subscriber release.
We did it.
Yeah, we did it.
We made it.
Growlers12, man, thank you so much for the sub.
All right, Stream 2 is Chaos Collective and Scary Wormhole people. This is a loser's bracket. We've got 2 Navy Scorpion teams. Scary Wormhole people banned the Tengu and Oneros. Mm-hmm. So they're banning Tinkers. And essentially, these are more or less mirror teams, except the Chaos Collective's got a Blackbird and a Kitsune. So and Scary Wormhole people have a double Hyena swag going on.
We've seen a lot of Navy Scorpions now in the tournament. If the first 2 matches both had teams with double Navy Scorpion. And
all right, so I just want to stop you because I watched Chaos Collective do some really funny shit. Mm-hmm. So their carries for the Chaos Collective was getting painted by these hyenas, and the Chaos Collective Basilisk ended up just panic repping the Blackbird inside the carry. So the carries just died, no reps. Right?
Wow.
And now the second Kitsune pilot, he was getting reps, but just not enough, and the Kitsune down. So Chaos Collective is losing a lot of their E-War frigs, which is not that great. They're high in points, and it looks like this team really needed it for control.
Yeah, well, the big thing here is they're using a lot of jams, and they're coming from the Blackbird, and these jams are chance-based. I mean, they're not going to jam 100% of the time, depending on the strength of this Blackbird's jams.
Yeah, that's the thing about ECM on this tournament. So Dams got nerfed, so you can't use scripts, and TDs got nerfed because you can't use scripts.
Oh, the Hyena just melted.
Okay, so wow. maybe Chaos Collective is not out of this, but yeah. So by comparison, the Basilisks or Blackbirds and ECM in general seems pretty strong. But as you can see, it is chance based, as Laz was saying. So this Kitsune wasn't able to jam enough DPS straight off, so it died along with the carries. And now this Blackbird is eating it. He is leaking armor.
As soon as that Hyena died, though, you saw a lot of the dams fall off. So maybe the Hyena was actually running a lot of the dams in the mid slot there. The Chaos Collective side does have 2 Hawks and a Cerberus, which with the light missiles there, they're able to be extremely effective versus the frigates. But I don't know if they'll actually have enough DPS to break the Jackdaws with those 3 ships.
Yeah, so the difference between the Scary Wormhole people and the Chaos Collective of what remains is the Scary Wormhole people team has these Navy Scorpions, but they can apply full damage because they've got a Hyena Painter, which is a bonus painter which blows your SIG up. So no matter what missiles these guys are using, they're going to hit for nearly full damage on any target they want. Still, the Blackbird's stabilized.
There's no more rep icon actually next to Blackbird. So oh, there it is. Okay, maybe he just had his rep cycle down to conserve cap or something. Oh, nope, there.
Or maybe he's just baiting. Maybe he's just doing some. Okay, well,
he did.
The bait strat was not good.
Fitted. So I mean, he could have been having trouble locking him. Maybe he lost lock because of the jam, and then had to relock underneath the pressure of a sensor damp. I mean, that you see him falling off the field. You saw a big drop in the control bar of Chaos Collective.
Yep, and the interesting thing about Chaos Collective is they were able to apply their entire control bar from the start, which is pretty impressive. And it looks like they applied it pretty well until their Kitsune and carries started to die. Mm. The carries is the bonus dam ship, as we see Chaos Collective just fall apart now, unfortunately for them. So the big thing about the carries is it's a bonus dam ship, and the bonus dams, you still can't script them.
Wow, that Jackdaw just melted. It looks like they were able to get a successful jam on the Basilisk, and the Jackdaw just get obliterated.
I wonder what's jamming on the Chaos Collective team, because they have no ECM ships left.
The Hawk. It's got to be the Hawk. You're seeing a lot of damage being swapped to the Hawk now. Maybe they're just trying to get the smaller ship off the field. But you did see, as soon as the carries died, they lost all their damp pressure. So all their damps were singly on that one ship, which in the tournament's a big thing not to do, just because you want to be able to have redundancy.
All right, this is absolute madness. The Basilisk is now jammed, or both Basilisks from both teams are being attempted to be jammed. Like if you look at the icon on the stream, that looks like a jammer. That doesn't mean that ship is jammed. It just means that they're trying to jam it. So we can't control the camera, so I can't tell if that's ECM drones maybe that's doing it, or one of these ships just has jammers that they're throwing, casually unbonus jammers being thrown onto ships. Oh, nice. Oops.
Get a phone call.
Nice. Yeah. And as I say, we can't see the camera. ISD just zooms in on it for us. That's nice.
Yeah, well, we can't see the drones though.
Yeah.
But we are seeing a lot of damage applied to this Hulk. This Basilisk is having a tough time. Looks like we're probably having a reload right now on the RHMLs. You see a lot of the damage fall off, and as I say, they take a huge chunk of shields. Unless one of these jams hit again, they won't be able to kill them. This Hawk is in Newt range, so he's going to be unable to prop mod away. The Basilisk cap transfers aren't going to be enough to actually get it out of that tight spot.
Yep, for sure. So, looks like, wow, Scary Wormhole people did really well. One of the hardest things to do is to fly against a what's essentially a mirror matchup, right? Because you don't have any advantage on your ship doctrines or anything like that, so you just have to outpilot your opponent. And obviously this wasn't an exact mirror matchup, but it was pretty damn close.
Yeah, I think Chaos Collective had the upper hand going into this match with the amount of E-War that they brought, and I think they just failed letting that carries die early. If they would have been able to save that carries or had him completely burn the opposite direction as soon as the match started, then maybe they would have been a completely different match, because those are some really strong sensor damps there that could have been a huge benefit with the amount of with the Kasuni and the Blackbird jams.
So since this match seems to be all but over, do you want to swap over to the winner's bracket stream? Because that match just started. It
just started, and it looks like we have a Vindicator, 2 Navy Dominics, 2 Brutix Navy issues, and a Vex Navy issue from CAStabouts. I mean, that's a lot of damage.
Yeah, CAStabouts are actually known for taking these like undermanned sort of tinker setups. Like that's what they did last match. So Gorgon Empire decided to take what they assume is their Tinker Buster, and CAStabouts just completely surprised them and took some just a bunch of battleships and battlecruisers, just full deeps. Full deeps, no logi. So let's see what happens.
I mean, I have seen a team before use a Navy Dominix as a repair ship. Maybe we get surprised and they're using a remote rep Navy Dominix.
Razor took a remote hull rep team yesterday, so I mean anything is possible. But it looks like CAStabouts is starting to lose a lot of their DPS right now. These Geddon Newts are so brutal for a blaster-based team that needs to get in range, because your guns use cap, your micro drive uses cap, so without cap you can't really do jack.
The bans for the CAStabouts team are really interesting. They banned the Tengu and the Griffin. For the setup they brought, I think that's kind of an odd choice of bans to bring. I mean,
it kind of seems like maybe they were just caught off guard by the Gorgon Empire bans as well. Because maybe they wanted to bring a Navy Scorp team or something like that. But what they're bringing now is not... I mean, it took Gorgon Empire by surprise for sure, but they're still getting beat down by these Gorgon Empire bombers. I mean, look at this. This Vindicator is just melting.
Yeah, well...
everything is getting controlled as well. Like, there's no hope.
Well, the Hounds with the, like I said, with the Tech 2 missiles and proper paints and everything, they're going to be doing about 2.5k damage per volley, and that's a lot of damage. I mean, that's 5k damage per volley from the 2 Hounds.
Yeah, but I also look at the control bar from this Gorgon Empire team. It's pretty massive. So this is probably most of that comes from the Gen, because the Newts really jack the control bar.
Well, the bombers also have a lot of utility slots, because they're not going to fit much tank, because the bombers, if they do get shot, they're pretty flimsy in the first place. So you are able to bring a lot of E-War, which is most likely where these tracking disruptors coming from. Actually, the Crucifier is where the tracking disruptors coming from.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a Crucifier. Interesting that people are taking tracking disruptors and dams so much in the first 3 matches. Yeah, Vindicator goes. It looks like CAStabouts just lost. So they're going to have to go to the losers bracket. But they're still alive. They're still kicking in the tournament, just not in this match. They they had an interesting plan to go with just all blaster deeps with essentially a Galente rush, but they ran into a pretty sturdy control team that deals a lot of damage.
In the past few last tournaments, Shadow Cartel's been known for bringing these type of straight up blaster DPS in your face setups, and the biggest thing is you have to be able to get on top of them and then immediately zonk out DPS at the very start of the match. If you don't kill a DPS that quickly, then you're going to immediately fall behind with them instantly killing your frigates. And that's
this is part of the reason why people are really gravitating toward these fleet typhoons, and especially in the Alliance tournament. Like almost every match has had a fleet typhoon in it if it hasn't been a Tinker. And it's because they can apply their damage very quickly because they're missile based. So you don't really have to get up on your opponent. You can just sit wherever you land and throw missiles at the bad guy.
They also have utility high slots, which is a big thing in the tournament.
Yep, so you can put newts in there. They've got pretty small SIGs, so they're kind of okay versus bombers, if you assume the other guy's going to take bombers. So they're pretty neat ships, that, and that's why people really like them. Navy Domixes, I think, are just... They don't really offer you anything. They have a lot of utility mid slots, obviously. But
and I believe they lose one of their drone bonuses for a blaster bonus. Don't quote me.
Yeah, they don't get the drone bonus, which is good because in the Alliance tournament, 13 drones. You can't use Tech 2 drones. You can only use Tech 1 drones, which really nerfed a lot of the drone teams.
Yeah, and and when it comes to regular drones, not sentries, the disparity between Tech 1 and Tech 2 is pretty big. They did rebalance sentries to kind of close that gap, but it's a huge difference. So
I see some chat asking what about the tanks on these guys. It looks like I don't think they're hull tanked, but they're definitely just brick tanked on all of their ships. Like they just went for max EHP, max damage, trying to just overwhelm their opponent. Unfortunately, these maledictions managed to pin enough of the ships down, and the Gens neuted the rest of them, so CAStabouts could never apply their full damage.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, guys. Galente does have a naturally high hull resist, so I wouldn't be surprised if they did throw in a few transversal bulkheads and just for the extra amount of beefiness.
Yeah, it's possible. Like that's one of your goals, right? When you want to play, you want people to think, "Oh, we're killing this guy. He's dead. Wait, he's still not dead. What do we do? What do we do?" You just want to throw people off the game a little bit.
And with the damage control, getting a flat 60% resist to structure, going for that huge amounts of structure is a goal that you can sustainably hold on to. And it will keep that last ship that you'd think to expectly just immediately drop through structure, and you can move to the next target, and people will get like, "Oh shit, we have to keep shooting this guy."
Yep.
And we've seen matches be completely won on that aspect alone, is something doesn't die as quick as they thought it does while you were able to clean up frigates. But the CAStabouts were not able to kill a single ship on the Gorgon Empire, a team which is pretty bad. Because I mean they have the Worm and the two Breachers and the Tristans. I mean, I'm not sure, like that's a lot of drone DPS, but you can't use Tech 2 drones.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So I think that's probably their biggest downfall, is choosing the frigates a little bit better.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Definitely. I guess the thing is they're just really tanky frigates, but you've got no reps, right? So yeah. What is the point of taking the really tanky frigates?
And well, the past 4 matches we've seen so far, you've seen a lot of bombers, guys, and that's because you see a lot of battleships in the Alliance tournament so far, and the bombers do a huge amount of DPS for their 3-point value.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. The Breacher, 2 points. Hound, 3 points. Like, come on. Easy. Just throw a scram on the Hound, and you've got a Breacher, except to throw torps at people. That's what I would do. Just make all my tackle in the bombers for an extra point.
Sorry, guys. If I'm a little quiet, I will try to fix that. Yeah, you can't use Tech 2 drones because it's in the rules. I believe that went to the rules before the last Alliance tournament. Was the Tech 2 drone rule?
Nope, just this one. This was the first one, because everyone got sick and tired of seeing drones.
Yeah.
They're like, screw this. We're not gonna balance drones or anything. We're just gonna get rid of them. And in the tournament setting, they're really strong because you can't damp them, you can't jam them, you can't. Well, actually, you can jam them. You can't track and disrupt them effectively. So you sort of circumvent a lot of the strategy that you can have.
You saw a lot of Ishtars and Dominixes and stuff like that, and
yeah, we got sick and tired of saying Gila and came up with different ways to say it. So
how can we make this word funny
no drones
for the 1,000th time?
Yeah. So this is just a screw this, no drones. We hate saying this freaking word. We're not going to rename the ship. We're just going to nerf the drones.
I'm really surprised with the surprise crucifier there, because a lot of times you don't see the track interrupters in the Alliance tournament unless you really like exactly know what they're going to be bringing. So maybe it could have been a spy, maybe, but it could have just been covering their bases with the crucifier. The track interrupters are bonus on the crucifier, even though you can't use scripts. They will be pretty effective versus a Vindicator and a blaster heavy team.
Yeah. So another thing about this is the Alliance tournament format changed a little bit. So you couldn't have locked systems, but you could. So a lot of teams decided to, until very late rather. So a lot of teams decided to just have open scrims and just open practices. So maybe the Gorgon Empire used to scrim with the CAStabouts team and said, hey, you know what? We saw them once field as a Vindicator, Blaster, Rush team. Let's just build in some TDs, assuming we're gonna fight against something like that. So who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, so that is the last match there. Castabouts are going to be sent to the losers bracket. That was a stream 1 stream. Guys, there's 2 streams going on currently from ISD. The first one is the winners bracket, which means they have not lost at all, and they have 2 lives left. With the losing of Castabouts, they have gone down to 1 life in a double elimination tournament. And anyone in the loser brackets, if they lose this match today, they are out of the tournament.
It's definitely going to be pretty grim. The next match we have coming up is XIII, who is a name that we've seen do very well in the last 2 Alliance tournaments, even though a lot of the people have left from those particular teams, or those particular winning incarnations. They'll still be pretty good. So the next match is XIII and Out of Sight in the winners bracket. In the losers bracket, it's suddenly Spaceships versus Alternate Allegiance. I think suddenly Spaceships took a really funny setup last time. Let's check. Alright. Unresponsive plugin. Why'd you just do that, Firefox?
That's why you should use Google Chrome. Duh.
I got hazed.
Alright. Yeah, so literally when you sent me a message on Skype today, I was laying on top of my phone. I fell asleep on top of my phone and it woke me up.
Nice. I'm so good.
So good. Alright.
Let's look at what suddenly Spaceships took you last time.
And guys, I will drop this link in chat as well. It's null-sec.com's really cool link here that you guys can look at. It has the bracket there. And it looks like our next one on the first stream is XIII versus Out of Sight on the winners brackets. And then the losers bracket, where is it? You have the losers bracket pulled up? I don't.
It's suddenly Spaceships versus Alternate Allegiance. I think the suddenly Spaceships team is going to be pretty funny because it's got some pretty good pilots on it, like individual pilots, and they probably don't want to go home early. And last match, they took a Mac and a Balgorn, which I think is pretty dope. Like, they got completely wiped by TFIs, but they look dope doing it, so that works.
No. I'm always a favorite anything with blasters in the Alliance tournament, so the more Vindicators we see today, the happier I'm going to be.
I have a feeling you won't be very happy.
Oh, man.
I'm just wagering a guess. Though we did see some Navy Dummies and Vindicators, which I did not expect, so I could be wrong. It's the losers bracket. Anything can happen in the losers bracket. These people have nothing to lose.
Well, they have everything to lose. What are you talking about?
Well,
if they lose this match, then they're out.
Their backs are against the walls. They're unpredictable and crazy.
A cat in a cage.
Yeah. Exactly like that. They're insane.
Do we have a link to point system? The point system should be in a dev blog. Let me look 1 second.
I'll link it in chat, I think.
You got it?
Is this the rules? Alright, yeah, here it is.
All right. Get action on the second stream.
Nice. Suddenly Spaceships versus Alternate Allegiance. Man, I hyped up Suddenly Spaceships saying they'll take something cool, and instead they took a Tinker. And then Alternate Allegiance took an ECM team with bombers.
This is going to be a boring match. I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys this now.
I'm pretty sure Suddenly Spaceships are going to get wiped by this Alternate Allegiance team. Okay, this Alternate Allegiance team has just this frigate that's going out of control, charging into the
he gives no fucks.
For no reason.
In man mode here.
He just ran at them. That was actually...
The Alpha Volley... Wow, that Rook's dead. First Rook off the field. Dead. That's a lot of jams down.
I don't know how that happened. Oh, I see what happened. Alternate Allegiance didn't take a logistics ship. They just take going...
Guys, faith in the EOR. Faith in the EOR.
So the thing is, if they lose a roll of the die and don't get a jam off on the DPS ships, then they instantly lose everything, which is what we're seeing right now.
Yeah. Wow, I call this as a boring match, but this is looking at anything but. And the biggest problem with the ECM is these guys are probably fitting ECCM. Because you're not seeing jams being applied, and the Widow and the Rook do have decently high jam strength.
Oh, goodness. What a disaster for Alternate Allegiance. What a disaster. They couldn't get any jams off at all. Lost the Rook straight off. Lost the second one. They've got these Hurricane Fleet issues, which are pretty good for DPS for their points. They do a lot of damage. You can get some links on them, so you can boost up the rest of your tanks on your team. And obviously you can boost up your jammers with info links. So that was a good idea to bring the Hurricanes. And then they just brought a bunch of bombers because, you know what, we got 9 extra points. They just shoved 3 bombers in there. But
it looks like
they haven't shot anything at all.
Yeah, it looks like they did get a cycle of jams off. I'm only seeing damage. Oh, there's first Widow down.
Yeah, wow. So a Widow and 2 Rooks are down. And nothing else has really taken any damage. So this is... maybe interesting target calling on Alternate Allegiance's part. As they lose their last Widow, leaving them with a pretty respectable amount of damage if they can apply it with 2 Hurricane Fleet issues and 3 bombers. Like, that's not so bad.
It's not going to be enough versus a Tinker Tengu.
Oh, no.
I mean, the Tinker Tengu is going to be huge amounts of HP. I mean, they're getting the shield bonuses from the Vulture. This is all she wrote, basically. I mean, it's going to take a few minutes to kind of mop up the rest.
I mean, it's going to take a miracle for Alternate Allegiance to do anything. Maybe they can get... No, they can't do anything. All right, they're
have faith, Elise!
I was hoping that maybe they could lose something. Or kill something, but no. Yeah, definitely not killing.
And asking in chat, what the fuck is a Tinker? A Tinker is basically a setup where you see, like you see here, is the battleships plus a command ship to give links, and then you have the Tengu. The Tengu in this is called a Tinker because it's bringing your remote reps. The remote reps for the Suddenly Spaceships team is a team relying on reps from the Tengu, which does not get a bonus to its range. So you're going to see them ball up in a singular formation. And try to protect that Tengu. As you saw yesterday, there was a match where an Armageddon actually bumped the Tinker Tech 3 out of rep range of the other ships, and I think they were able to win that way. I'm not sure if they won, but he was able to charge in and bump the Tech 3 out of range.
Yeah, that definitely works. So what happens is the Navy Scorpion pumps, and the Ravens, they just pump Cap into the Tengu, and then the Tengu reps them back. So it's like this... endless chain of Cap and reps, and the Tengu, because it doesn't have a lot of range, it gets an additional rep power, and so it can rep itself with an XL ASB that's not using Cap charges, which generally uses too much Cap for anything. But since it's being fed Cap, it can run it forever, and it can rep forever, and it's just this really, really tanky team.
Yeah, and
you have to push a lot of buttons on it. Like that's the as lame as it looks, there's actually an insane amount of micro, because you have to overheat at certain times when there's so much damage coming in, and you have to effectively bait the guy that you're shooting or that's getting shot. But you might not have as much buffer as you'd like, so you can't really do it too much. And Alternate Allegiance is dead with everything. That was kind of a balls out team.
You'll probably never see a Repgu or any type of Rep Tech 3 on the regular server. But in the tournament setting, it is a extremely strong setup. As you can see, multiple people bringing the Tinker setup this year.
Yeah, yeah. So it's good if you're going against an opponent that has no idea what they're doing, I guess. Maybe that's what some of these spaceships were thinking. But I'm kind of sad.
Kind of sad.
Because I really thought they were going to take something cool, and then they took a very uncool setup. So Stream 2 is currently ahead of Stream 1. So Stream 1 has a match that should be being played soon.
Very shortly. Yeah, so guys, Alternate is out of the tournament. That is their second loss. That was a loser bracket game. So Alternate is gone. They're no longer with us. Put them in the ground. They're done. And guys, I think the first stream is about to start up as well. But nice. One thing, for those of you who don't know the rules, only a single ship can bring remote rep modules, which is why you'll see only a single Basilisk, single rep at all. Unless
it's remote hull reps. That was never stated in the rules, so you can bring as many remote hull reps as you want.
Is that how Razor sidestepped the rules?
Yep.
That's amazing.
They had like 15 remote hull reps, but they were pretty awful remote hull reps because they suck. All right, Exodus and Out of Sight. We're seeing this same Fleet Typhoons with Blackbirds, interesting, and some Heretics. Navy Out of Sight has, what do they got?
2 Navy Scorpions, Damnation, Basilisk.
Pretty awful from remote hull reps because they suck. All right, Exodus and Out of Sight. Yeah, okay, well, we're seeing Out of Sight Hound just blew up to Exodus. That's pretty cool. And it looks like Exodus is not going to shoot this Jaguar. And, okay, so that one Hound instantly exploded, and then nothing else happened. What's going on here?
Well, we've seen a lot of jams coming out from the Blackbirds here.
Okay, that Jaguar just exploded as well. All right, Exodus. Exodus is doing it right now. It looks like they have a successful jam on the Out of Sight Basilisk, which is why nothing is getting wrapped. So just because you see the icon doesn't mean he actually got jammed. But just because he's not repping anything, you know he got jammed.
Right.
So that's a lot of the out-of-sight support that's dying.
So the 2 Steeples and the 2 Heretics are actually quite a bit of anti-frig DPS there. The Heretic is a pretty good solo roaming ship on TQ if you're looking for a solo roaming ship that can bubble and DPS. The Heretic's pretty good. And look at this Hound drop pretty. Look at the sliver of structure being pulled back, and he's dead.
Nice. Okay, so Out of Sight's coming back. They don't need their Steeples or Jaguars. Like, what do you need to tackle on this team? I'm sure it's fine. And now Out of Sight is going for these X's Blackbirds, it looks like.
Well, nope. Elise, what do you think of the blue team bans?
I think they misclicked.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe.
Those are the oddest bans we've seen in the entire tournament, I have to say.
We have not seen a single Megathron Navy issue, and we've seen one Gila, and that the Gila team, I'm pretty sure, lost and ate it. So Exodus banned Tengu Loki, which is what you do when you don't want to see a Tinker. And they were confident that their team can beat anything that wasn't a Tinker. And it looks like they were right.
Wow.
Out of Sight. Those are actually some great bans. I did not notice at all. Yeah, their Basilisk is definitely jammed again. So these Exodus Blackbirds are imposing their will on this poor Out of Sight Bassie who probably doesn't have any ECCM going on. But Out of Sight are saying, you know what, we're down, but we're not out. They're shooting the Exodus logistic ship, which is, or well, they were until they all got jammed, which is what you definitely want to do. You definitely want to kill the Logi. But the Logi's no longer scrammed or webbed, and it's running free, and the last tackle ship for Out of Sight has died. So their hopes and dreams are on to the losers bracket.
In this Out of Sight team, I mean, you have the Navy Scorpion Core, which is going to be really beefy, but then you have the Hounds, which only worth 3 points. They do a ton of DPS, but they're also pretty fragile. And if these Steeples are actually artillery fit, the Steeples alone can probably almost alpha a Hound by itself.
Yeah, the Steeples, I mean, there are a lot of points, right? But if you can blap these Hounds and blap these tackle things, then they're definitely worth it. Especially when you combine it with the Heretics, which also do a fair amount of volley with the missiles. A really good pairing. I like this Steeple and Heretic kind of combination. And someone is asking in chat, are there any rules on implants? And yeah, you can only bring 3% implants for the Alliance tournament. It used to be that you could bring any implant you want, But the 6% are really expensive, so they said, you know what, let's even the playing field a little bit. 3% for anyone, and 3% are super cheap. So.
Sandwich. I was also just looking at the Damnation in a Shields comp. I don't know, because Damnation gets a bonus to armor and skirmish, I believe.
Yeah, that is pretty odd. I did not notice that either. I was just like, oh, it's a Damnation, whatever. I guess maybe they just couldn't buy a vulture. Like,
the pilot doesn't have the skills in the Alliance tournament.
Maybe they were just out on like an op or something, and they were like, man, I need this vulture for my fleet. Sorry, you guys can't take it. Just take this other thing. It's a command ship. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah.
I mean, the Damnation's doing pretty well, all things considered. Look at it go. It's tanking. Like, they started shooting it. They're like, you know what? Screw this. Let's just kill a Navy Scorpion.
Well, the Damnation is the only fleet command ship that can literally stand up to an alpha volley. Every other command ship dies. So I wouldn't have shot the Damnation ever. I mean, maybe that's what they're counting on.
It's because you play on TQ too much. When you play in the Alliance tournament, you just have to not play on TQ ever again. Yeah. That's how it goes. Man, look at this Exodus control bar. There's nothing left, and it's still applying so much of its control. That's impressive.
Yeah, well, you're probably looking at 4 jams apiece on each of these last 2 ships.
Oh, and these are armor Blackbirds too, which obviously they're not very tanky, so they die if you shoot at them. But they have all their mid slots open for jams. So armor Blackbirds compared to shield Blackbirds, definitely more jams on the armor ones.
Okay, so this was a winners bracket game. Out of sight will be pushed down into the losers bracket to play with the their other guys in the mud, who will be left on their last leg in the tournament. It is a double elimination tournament, guys. Anyone in the winners bracket to have both lives left, anyone in the loser bracket are on their last life. Because yesterday was the first day of the Alliance tournament. And I'm being joined today with Elise Randolph. I'm Lazarus Telraven. Just call me Laz, please, because full name shit. Guys, then we have Elise, who is actually an official EVE Online PvP expert for the Alliance tournament this year.
Yeah, if I will be a commentator when they bring the Alliance tournament, which happens next weekend, to the studio in Reykjavik. So you'll see me, Sir Squeebles, Chesser, and Apothony. So basically 3 of the same faces you saw last year, and Chesser, who's like just super good.
Trauma. How do I feel about so many jams? I hate ECM so much. Every time I roam in 1 TQ lately, I want to murder. I want to kick a puppy, rather. Let's leave murder out of this.
Since it's chance based, it's actually really dangerous. We almost never stayed in the Alliance tournament because it is chance based. You're just kind of hoping you do it right on that first try, and if you don't, then your entire team can fall apart. So
I think this is like the 4th or 5th team we've seen ECM on, though.
And one of the most commonly banned ships yesterday was actually the Blackbird. And yesterday we didn't see a single Blackbird. We just saw a lot of bans against Blackbird. Or maybe we saw a few Blackbirds on it. It seemed like we saw none. And now we're seeing just Blackbirds all over the place. It's pretty weird. I don't think they're that good, but I mean, whatever. Now we got some ads going on. So if you guys, what we're doing is, look at this little Pandemic Horde app or ad.
Times.
Yeah, but didn't you get knocked out of the tournament by Nolly last year?
Look at that little Horde thing. So cute. What a thug. We can talk about some of the matches that happened yesterday. One of the most heartbreaking matches for me was watching Pandemic Horde go against Shadow Cartel. Shadow Cartel's a great team, but Pandemic Horde decided to take a 6 battleship team. Oh, actually, hold on. Let's not lie about what they took. Let's click it so we can read it.
Are you actually able to see the setups here?
On the nullsec page, yeah, just click on the map or match.
Let me drop this guy's back into the chat again. This is, like I said, an extremely useful site. You can click on each match and see what they brought. The next match coming up on Stream 1 is Rote Kapelle versus Dead Terrorists.
That should be really good.
Yeah, those are both long-time tournament teams. I'm really excited to see this match, actually. Hopefully we can see something more than Fleet Typhoons and Navy Scorpions. Just saying. Just saying.
So Pandemic Horde yesterday, they took 2 Typhoon fleet issues. What I assume might be their flagship Dominix, just a Dominix, a Navy Scorpion, a Sleipnir. So right now we've got 4 battleships and a command ship. And instead of a Logi, they then just added 5 bombers. So
no fucking Logi. What are you talking about, Elise?
So they had 4 battleships, a command ship, and 5 bombers. And
they came up against a really beefy team too. Like the Fleet Typhoon and a Balgorn. I mean, that's the news from the Balgorn alone are going to just completely devastate anything that's going to have to run use cap.
Yeah. And they got murder zoned, I guess, would probably be the best classification. Definitely murder zoned. So now their backs against the wall. They're going to do some crazy shit. I mean, when they have nothing to lose, they take this random battleship team. Now imagine, like, back against the wall. Crazy. You have no idea what they're going to take next.
But at least, how do you feel about these Tech 3 destroyers, though? I mean, on TQ, they're kind of stifling the frigs online because they're so good at killing frigs and destroyers and other Tech 3 destroyers. In the tournament setting, as we see, like, the Sweeple from the last match, which I'm assuming was artillery because I didn't see him at point blank range, which a 280mm artillery Sweeple, like, second alpha most of these frigates on the field. I mean, do you think that makes it justified for the point value?
I'm not sure. I think they're probably, before the tournament started, I would have said they're probably too many points, right? Because 6 points is the same as a Tech 1 cruiser. And if you say, okay, you can take a Sweeple or any Tech 1 cruiser you want, I would say, just without testing, I'd say, okay, I'll just give me the Tech 1 cruiser. But the neat thing about the Tech 3 destroyers is they have unlike any other ship in the game, they have this really high skill cap to play. Right? So if you fly it really well, if you can master flying it, you can fly it better than someone else. Because there's different modes. There's like a sniper mode, there's a tank mode, there's a speed mode. So if you can alternate between the modes in the right times, you can gain an advantage over someone else who maybe doesn't have the same amount of expertise as you do. So I think maybe that's part of the reason why we're seeing these Tech 3 destroyers is because they have a very high skill cap. And obviously they're good at murder zoning frigates. So if you expect to see a lot of frigates and destroyers, then they're definitely very strong. I don't know if we're going to see a lot of them going in towards the end of the tournament because I think the meta is going to shift in the next weekend away from these TFI teams with really thin support. I think you're going to see more beefy support. Like if you look at the Hydra team, they've got like a Malice, right? So you're not going to blap a Malice with 2 Sweeples and 2 Infestors or 2 Sweeples and 2 Heretics, right?
So you think they're just waiting, saving the big ships for later, the expensive Malices and the other AT ships.
Well, you don't need to do it with a Malice. That's just like one of the examples, right? So I don't think they're going to be that useful later. I mean, maybe they will. Maybe I'll be wrong.
Well, so far today, I think we've seen 4 Navy Scorpion teams and 5 Typhoon teams, Fleet Typhoon teams.
Yeah, so Typhoons are kind of all over the place.
So hopefully we'll see a little bit shift in the meta later today that we aren't seeing the same matches over and over again. But one thing that's with the tournament is typically when someone proves something works, you'll see it over and over again until it eventually gets beat.
Yeah, that's essentially what happens. Very well said. Like you just see, especially in the second week, like even in the second day, a little bit you see it more often. Like you saw yesterday, a lot of the successful teams took Typhoon fleet issues. Now you see even more of them today, right? So I think next week you're going to see a lot of people trying to deconstruct like the Hydra and the Camel team and just try and field something similar to that or make a new team or practice a new team that uses elements of that Hydra Camel team.
Yeah. Well, and the thing with the Hydra Camel team with the Fleet Typhoons is they will already know the counter to that setup, and they can go ahead and have that ready in their back pocket. And the next match for the losers bracket is actually about to start, guys.
Nice. Losers brackets not living up to their namesake. They're actually winners. They go fastest.
So guys,
nice. And you're going to be happy, because there's Vindicators.
Happy. I'm so happy. Vindicators are the best! Because we have Team Affirmative, best team in the entire Alliance tournament, because they brought 2 Vindicators, EOS for Lynx and Arrows, 2 Akates, 2 Heretics, 2 Crewers, and a Griffin. Interesting.
Pretty odd support wing, for sure. The Crewers are not something we see very often. They're the Blood Raider ships, so they get a bonus to... They're essentially like a really tiny Balgorn, but kind of shitty, because they don't have a tank of a Balgorn. So they get newts and webs.
And we have the first Sleipnir webbed, looked probably by one of the Vindicators, looked like... Yeah, so they're both in brawl range. And you don't want to be in brawl range of Vindicator, just saying. Especially with the Sleipnirs, they do have a weak resist to kinetic. It looks like the Scimitar is able to keep them alive for now.
Okay, so the Affirmative team are going after the DPS of the Bastards, but the Bastards are just going through the logistics of the Affirmative team, which I think is a much better tactic here. Mm-hmm. And the Affirmative Oneros is actually eating it right now. It's in shield ASB fit Oneros. So you can see its shields bouncing from 0 to 100 a lot.
And he's slowly melting.
He is not doing too well. He's entering structure. He's low armor. He's dead. Okay.
Wow.
These Vindicators are now all alone, and they have not done anything. They finally got a really strong web on the Bastard's Scimitar, and they just let it go. All right. This is not great.
Wow. Berman is letting me down. Letting me down with the Vindies. I mean, come on.
So let's look at the other things that the Bastards have. They've got these fleet sights, and flycatchers, which essentially are just their way of shredding light tackle and things. They decided to just focus everything on the Oneros, and even though the Oneros has a tiny signature because it's a logistic ship, these fleet sights and flycatchers are able to apply full damage because they're just shooting light missiles at them, most likely. And
the first Vindy entering structure, almost dead. And you're still seeing no damage being applied to the Scimitar. Scimitar most likely overheated prop mine immediately, got the fuck out to the opposite direction. The Vindicators being blaster fit at 0 aren't going to be able to apply any damage to that range to kill the Scimitar.
I do see a bunch of EC300s and just EC drones swarming these Vindicators. So it looks like what happened is the Vindicator team, the Affirmative team, lost their Oneros, said, you know what, we have to go on this Scimitar now. So they grabbed the Scimitar, and then all these drones swarmed them and got a jam off on them. The Scimitar got away and just boogied. And
yeah. Typically in the last tournament setting, these logistics pilots are going to be the best pilots on the team because they have the largest amount of work they have to do. They have to micro their reps, micro overheating, and be able to know when to pull range and when to go back in for reps. So
look at those EC300s. That's disgusting.
But you saw it on stream, 2 weeks ago? I was in a Rattlesnake with ECCM fitted, and I got jammed by a single freaking Vespa.
Yeah, I totally called that too. I definitely said that was going to happen.
I think we should just remove ECM from the game, personally. That's just my opinion.
Just drag it into the recycle bin and see what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, this Bastards team, definitely, their control bar is pretty small. Mm-hmm. But it's deceptively small, because I don't think the ECM drones count towards that control bar. So they just have probably like 20 or 30 EC300s just swarming whatever they want. It looks like it's all swarming just the primaries. So.
Is this the first Minotaur rush team we've seen of the tournament? In the past tournaments, it's been one of the primary setups you saw was the Sleipnir base. I'm not sure how popular it's been this tournament.
I think we've seen 1 or 2. I remember seeing at least 1 before. But I didn't watch all day yesterday. I missed like the last half of the matches. But this was a pretty good showing for it. Definitely melting these Vindicators. And they definitely had the right tactic, right? They just went straight for the Logi.
Yeah. Well, the Sleipnir is able to put out quite a bit DPS. I think they sit around, 750, 800 DPS on a Sleipnir.
Yeah, and the Cyclones are kind of neat too, because right now they're... in previous Alliance runs, like Alliance 111, they weren't really like this, but now they're just pure ham boats, right? So you just fire heavy assault missiles at dudes, and you can get a lot of DPS on a bigger target against a battleship.
Alright, so I'm going to jump streams over. We have Rote Kapelle versus Dead Terrorist. We have dual Balgorns, Vindicator, fucking Vindicator, 2 British Navy issues, Flycatchers, and the Griffins are already dead for Rote Kapelle. Interesting.
Alright, so Dead Terrorists are really these Navy Ravens are really good at murdering Griffins. Like we saw it yesterday in the PL match. and PL versus Kadeshi, and we see it again today in Dead Terrorist versus Rote. Like these with the Golem Painters and the Navy Raven just missiles. These Griffins just melt. And right now, Dead Terrorists are just trying to just muscle through while they still have Cap, a Brutix Navy issue.
And one of the things here is, I think this is the third team we've seen without actual reps, like without bringing a logistics ship. So they're trying to brute force with DPS, and they're just getting completely vultured.
So the Rote team took a disgustingly massive control team, right? So these Balagorns, they have two forms of control. They get the webs, and they get the newts. Unfortunately, they came up with a team that doesn't really need to move around, right? So if this Balagorn team came up against the Sleipnir team we just saw, it would be amazing because they'd be able to web down so many targets. But unfortunately for them, they're facing Navy Ravens, which can be completely static.
Oh, and they're also capless. They don't need cap to use their DPS. So with the missiles, they don't have to worry about getting neuted out. They can still apply damage.
Yep, so the Balagorn is good at mitigating damage against missiles that use cap. Meanwhile, this Basilisk for the Dead Terrorist team is just completely eating it, and it's gone in 3 seconds. All right.
That one of the Balagorns must have finally gotten within range. Unfortunately, as we can't control the camera, so we can't see what exactly happened. But Basilisk did instantly die there.
Yep, but it's still a pretty even match right now, even though the Bassi is dead. If you look at the attack bars and the defense bars there, I mean, Rote Kapelle has a bigger defense bar, obviously, but the attack bars are pretty similar, and that's all that matters right now. This Balagorn is eating it on the Rote team. I don't know why Dead Terrorists are shooting a Balagorn because they have nothing really left to fear from the Balagorns, but whatever.
Yeah, so it looks like they are swapping DPS onto the Stealth Bomber. Stealth Bomber is going to be a huge amount of the DPS on this team with the Rage torpedoes. And that Balagorn, he's slowly melting through structure. He's running a large ancillary rep, I believe. I did see a little bit of armor bounce back onto him.
Yeah, I mean, you can see these Dead Terrorist teams are on reload right now. They're using rapid heavies, it looks like. And you can see that Vindicator actually smart bombing some drones off. Actually, all of the... they've got a Neris as well, nice. Rote Kapelle bringing the hauler swag. Just because, why not?
Yes.
It's a smart bombing hauler, actually. That's pretty dope.
So the first Balagorn down, now the Dead Terrorist team is working on the second Balagorn.
Yeah, I don't know why they're insisting on shooting this Balagorn. Like, it's really easy to second guess them from the comfort of not having to do anything, but...
Yeah, well, all
Mel, maybe that's why, actually. Like, reload cycle's off, and that Balagorn's straight into structure.
So all the bombers are down. That's probably about 2k DPS, or 2k per volley from each bomber there. So now they're going to be able to chew through one of these other DPS ships. Trying to go for the rest of the frigs now is the wrong decision. Actually, looks like they are pulling back away from the Raptors to put damage on the Navy Raven of Bullet Tooth. Yeah,
so as you saw, the Rote team, the Balagorns have a lot of control, but they don't have any damage at all, right? So all of the damage came from this Brutix Navy issue and Vindicator core. They left the Vindicator alive for some reason. I'm not sure why. But these Vindicators, like they tried to break a Golem, but they couldn't because the Golem had a pretty beefy local tank as well. So maybe that's what the play is. Maybe this was just a feint from the Dead Terrorist team. They had a Basilisk that was just completely bait, and these Golems just have, or these Navy Ravens just have local reps, maybe?
It could just be a extra large ancillary shield booster, which the ASB, extra large ASB, can put out quite a bit of reps without worrying about nuke power. But once those charges are gone, they will die instantly. So
all right, so these Navy Ravens and Golem are all on reload cycle at the most unfortunate time ever because this Balagorn belonging to Rote has like 5 structure left. Not even 5%, just like 5.
You actually just see these two Raptors just came zooming in, and you saw the rockets or the missiles from the Raptors finish them off.
That's awesome. All right, so now the Dead Terrorists are focusing on the last Vindicator, the last DPS ship essentially of the Rote team, and it is, wow, it just melts through armor. I can't tell. Maybe I'm stupid, right?
Hull tank? I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense right now.
That could be the only thing, right?
It has to be hull tank. As quickly as the armor went away, it has to be hull tank.
Yeah. So that's a pretty neat strategy as well, as we were talking about earlier, because you're killing something so fast, you're like, oh, we're winning, we're doing it. And as you're doing it, then you just hit this brick wall of structure, right? So definitely Rote Kapelle went with a just pure EHP team with a structure tank, no remote hull reps. They do have the Daenerys that's smart bombing, which is still pretty swagalicious.
And it was missiles from the Golem, I think, that finished off that Balgorn, not the Raptor.
Oh, damn. Well, let's just assume the Raptors did it, because it sounds cooler. So this Navy Raven belonging to the dead terrorist finally dies, but too little too late. Rote are about to lose their Vindicator, or at least halfway through losing their Vindicator. Still pretty admirable that a Vindicator was basically soloing versus 3 battleships and killed 1. Like, that's pretty cool. Really a testament to the Vindicator itself.
Bro, Vindicator best ship in the game, just saying.
It's pretty dope, I guess. It's swagtastic.
I'm not saying.
But now it's now it's super nuded, and
yeah, unfortunately, newts are a big deal versus the Vindicator, whereas the missile ships don't care.
yeah, the missile ships definitely didn't care, which is why I thought it was a bit curious that the Dead Terrorist team spent so long killing the Balgorns, which do no damage, and nuked them instead of the Vindicator, which doesn't nuke them but does a lot of damage. So, well, I mean, either way, it worked out for them. Dead Terrorists advance, unless they just all self-destruct right now, which is possible because there's 2 minutes and 24 seconds left. So
this is the winner's bracket, guys. So Rote Kapelle will drop down to the loser bracket. They're not out of the tournament. And interesting here, if you look at the bans, they didn't ban any of the newt ships. So you can see an Armageddon or Balgorn ban there. So you could see Dead Terrorists from the start saying, guys, we don't give a fuck about your cap warfare.
Yeah, I do like that they banned the Typhoon fleet issue. That was a good ban on the Dead Terrorist team. They were like, man, these 2 guys, Laz and Elise, hate these Typhoon fleet issues. Let's just ban them. Let's just give them something good. And then Rote were like, hey, we're just taking a Vindicator. They tried to win your favor, but they failed a little bit.
Apparently that's not the right thing to do this tournament. Do not win my favor, because you'll lose.
Oh no, the hauler is dying slowly. Oh no.
This Bargas ban, though. I mean, how do you feel about the Bargas ban? I mean, you do have the long-range scram.
We haven't seen that many Bargas. Maybe they just feel... I have actually no idea. Maybe they just know that Rote have a really dope Bargas team. Rote is another one of the teams that was doing the open practices on the test server. So anyone with... you don't even have to be a spy, just a character in the open testing system. You can just watch these teams test. So maybe Dead Terrorists were like, you know what, we used to see Rote field a Bargas team. Maybe they practice against it, and they're like, we just don't like going up against it, right? And so they just nuked it out of the orbit. Or maybe they were going for Balgorn and misclicked, because that's also something you can do.
See. So guys, this match is pretty much over. 1 flag catcher left. Rote Kapelle will be dropping down to the losers bracket.
Rip and pepperonis.
Rip. Like I said, there's two different streams going on right now from ISD, and we're basically what we're doing is we're commentating the stream over top of what they're streaming. So we can't control the camera, so we can't give you any awesome cinematic shots or actually see